Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book haul. This is a very special book haul because I'm going to be talking about the books that I bought while I was on a meetup with the other gladiators at the Book Garden in Cream Ridge, New Jersey. I put together a gladiator meetup with some of the gladiators that expressed interest when I announced it on Facebook. And Charlie, Dan, Andrew, someone who's going to be taking part in the 7th season and in other upcoming videos. Her name is Jesi, and myself. The 5 of us took a trip out and bought a nice amount of books where you can follow us along on our trip in a video that we put together and is probably already up on our channel by the time our hauls go up. But I thought I would talk about the books that I got while I was there, which is always something that I enjoy, and especially with a place like the Book Garden, because George is just spectacular. He cares so much for his bookstore, and he cares so much for the customers that come and buy books from his bookstore. I bought 12 books while I was there. And first one that I got was Hubert, The Triumph and Tragedy of the Humphrey I Knew, by Edgar Berman, MD. So he's Dr. Edgar Berman. I came across this on a previous visit that I had while I was at the Book Garden, and Hubert Humphrey is just interesting in how he was the vice presidential selection for Lyndon Johnson leading up to the 1964 election that he won in a landslide because Johnson succeeded Kennedy. But Humphrey himself tried to run for president, including the 1968 election later on, where he was the establishment's choice, and he ended up losing to Nixon. I'm just interested in learning more about him, and that's why I picked this one up. Next one that I got is Clarence Thomas, A Biography by Andrew Peyton Thomas. No relation. And I'm interested in learning more about Clarence Thomas, and especially I'm interested in learning about Supreme Court justices in general, but Clarence Thomas is definitely someone that he's definitely someone I want to learn more about, especially because he is arguably the most conservative member of the Supreme Court during his day and on the modern court, and on the current court, because people often said that Antonin Scalia was the most conservative, but statistically speaking, experts have pointed to Clarence Thomas as the most. But Clarence Thomas was appointed by George H.W. Bush in 1991, and he succeeded Thurgood Marshall, who was the first black justice appointed when he was appointed by Lyndon B. Johnson. Next thing that I got is the Merriam Webster's Dictionary of American Writers. I picked this up because I think it would be a great way for me to familiarize myself with American writers that I already know about and also want to learn a bit more about, or those that have gone over my head. Next thing that I got is the Everything Wine Book by Danny May and Andy Sharpe. I don't consume alcohol, but I do want to learn more about wine because I want to create a character that is a wine connoisseur, and learning basic information about wine would help me out, and then being able to expand into what a different tidbits that wine connoisseurs would happen to know. Next thing that I got is Mining California, an Ecological History by Andrew C. Isenberg. And what fascinates me about this is just the idea of what the gold rush really was. When the settlers went west to California back in 1849, they made mention to the fact that they hit something big while they were out west. But when I took an American West class, I learned that it was quite a myth. They put so much work into it that the gold that they did find wouldn't make up for it. And quickly, it became regulated by the government. I have an interesting section of Arctic and Antarctic tales at the Book Garden, and I bought one on a previous visit of mine, but this time I picked up Shackletons Forgotten Men, the Untold Tragedy of the Endurance Epic by Lennard, Bickel, and there's a foreword by the Lord himself, Ernest Shackleton, and this has to do with a attempted but failed trip to Antarctica, and the effort that was made, but what caused the unfortunate conclusion. Next thing that I found was My Name is Aram by William Saroyan, and I picked this up because I really enjoy William Saroyan's works. I think that he writes with such a sense of humor, but a sense of humanity as well. I feel that William Saroyan does an outstanding job capturing the human experience, just as he did in The Human Comedy. If anybody made any bets about how many times I say human in this video, I think that you'd be doing a pretty good job. I found 2 books about Italy as well, and many of them had to do with late 19th century and into the 20th century. The first of which is Naples 44 by Norman Lewis, and it has to do with Lewis's experiences of being in the Ally-invaded Naples during 1944. Lewis himself was a British intelligence officer. And the other one that I got is The Italian Americans by Luciano J. Iorizzo and Salvatore Mondello. And this is an exploration of the boom in Italian immigration during the late 19th century and into the 20th century, which is something that really hits home because of my own personal heritage. And finally, I bought 3 books by Edward Rutherfurd. One was, I got New York, Russka, and The Princes of Ireland. Edward Rutherfurd seems to be the kind of writer that writes in the vein of Mishner, in how he's interested in a particular area or group of people, and he writes a work of fiction that is heavily inspired by the historical events and everything else that's taking place within the designated area or under the particular topic. Alrighty, this is everything I got while I was at the book garden. If you're in or if you're planning to visit the Cream Ridge area, I highly recommend this bookstore. The book garden is only a little bit west of Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. And if for some reason you were vacationing in the area and needed to find a bookstore to shop at, by all means, pay a visit to the book garden. And be sure to check out the other book haul videos from this meetup. Charlie, Dan, Jesi, and Andrew are each going to be filming a book haul where they talk about what they bought. And I also want to give a big thank you to George and Joyce for welcoming us into their bookstore and allowing us to film our experience of being there. We truly appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you for tuning into my book haul of what I bought while I was at the meetup, and be sure to join us for some more videos on this channel. For now, and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.